Hello everyone, it's Brett here, Lionheart84, and I thought it was about time to do, well, it's the first Sunday in October, so I thought I'd do my last garden tour video of the year. I don't normally do one in November because by then there's nothing left to show except maybe a few pineapple guavas, but I thought I'd do a quick walk around and see what's in flower, see what's got any fruits on it still, including these medlars. Hasn't got as many as last year, but I would say they're bigger than they were, so we should have enough to make hopefully a jar or two of jelly. So we'll have a quick walk around and see what's doing what. How's my outdoor grown in the ground citrus looking behind here? The answer is looking quite healthy. Still don't know if it's the rootstock or a lemon. It's trying to put out some new growth at the top there, but I think that's a bit too late in the year somehow. There's a little shoot there as well, but it's looking healthy, and obviously we'll see what we can do with it over winter. The kiwi berry is starting to go dormant now, as are the mulberries are starting to go yellow and drop their leaves. We head around a bit closer. We've got, of course, the mammoth pineapple guava here that has got plenty of fruits on it, to be honest, developing. They're getting to quite a good size now for the 6th of October. I'm hoping that some of these fruits will almost double in size to get to a worthwhile eating size. As I said, this one is mammoth, but development is progressing quite nicely. We haven't had any particularly cold weather. You can see some of these are going to get to quite a decent size. I bagged one, not because I thought it was going to be bigger, but I just thought I'd bag one to see if it made any difference to it. But certainly plenty of fruits on it. Behind the mammoth, the blueberries will be starting to go dormant and they'll turn a nice colour soon. In the ground, that's my male kiwi berry. Since I planted it, it's grown to the top of the fence, so maybe we'll be lucky and get some few flowers next year. And on the lower down on the ground there is another variety of incarnata, a hybrid that I planted in the hope that it's going to get established. I planted it on a raised mound in the hope that the root systems won't rot on it, because the biggest enemy here for them is are our wet winters, but we'll see what happens. You can see this blueberry starting to change colour. Got some nerines starting to come out and flower now, which always look wonderful at this time of the year. Nice to get a bit of fresh colour in October. My seedling pineapple guava covered in fruits as usual, but they're tiny. I'd be very surprised if any of these get as big as even a walnut, but maybe I'll try and make a jam or something with them this year. Just cut them, pick them at when they start dropping at this size, and see if I could chop them up and maybe use them in cooking of some sort. Pomegranate's still doing okay in the ground. Had a few flowers this year, didn't get any fruit set on it. It's starting to go dormant now, as you can see, and it's not been flowering since August, so no late flowers on it. My Caesalpinia still got flowers on it, nice colour. Carrying on moving around. The buddleia has nearly finished flowering, and tucked away behind here is my sunflower pawpaw, which has actually grown a bit this year at last, but I think it gets too much shade behind here to do an awful lot. You might better see, but up on top I've still got lots of flowers on my Campsis, so that looks pretty wonderful. The Triumph pineapple guava is also developing fruits nicely. Not a bad size. Again, it's nearly the size of a small chicken egg. I bagged a couple to protect them just in case the birds try to peck on them, but that's also got a fair number of fruits. If I lift this branch up, you will see that my pawpaw fruit are developing quite nicely. I would say these are a week or two away from ripeness. I think this plant's got about 8 fruits on it. There's 4 left in that bunch. That was the bunch that I took the damaged one off. But you can see the tree is going dormant now, and there's another 3 in that bunch there, and I think there's 1 or 2 very small single ones elsewhere on the tree, which I'll be able to see properly once the leaves have actually dropped. It's easy to see them, and then if they hadn't fallen off, I can probably put a mesh bag around them, but you can see from the golden leaves that that's rapidly going dormant. Moving round here, I'm going to be, there are some there's some kapow berries that are ready to pick, and I'm going to be harvesting them and doing a harvest video on those later. There's not many left. I think the birds have been eating them, so I'm going to pick them regardless of whether they're actually ripe or not. But there were probably about 2 or 3 times the amount there are now, so they've disappeared very quickly. Unfortunately, my in-ground strawberry guava's looking fine, and I think I mentioned to you, but I've planted a Suriname cherry next to it and a lily pilly. Not that I think they can survive the winter, but my plan is to cover them and see if I can get them through the winter. I've still got flowers on my Passiflora incarnata, and despite having a Caerulea next to it, it never actually set and developed a fruit. In fact, I'll walk round the back and show you, because let's see what's at the back here quickly. I'll just let you have a look at the flowers. If I just climb up here, so it's still producing flowers, as is my Caerulea next to it, but despite its massive growth, never set a fruit. But perhaps next year we'll see what happens. And down here I've got another hybrid incarnata which seems to be getting established, and I've actually put it in a raised pot which hasn't, and I'm going to allow it to, I thought it would improve the drainage on it, and that can root through into the ground and get itself established. This is this incarnata has sent up a couple of suckers quite a long way away from the plant. Look at that root ball exposed on that strawberry guava, so I'll have to build that up. No flowers on the strawberry guava this year, but I'm not too worried. What I need to do is protect it over winter and see what happens next year. That's my bacon seedling that died back to the ground that came back. I picked the last of the Asian pears today, or they'd fallen off I should say, so they'll all be starting to go dormant now, and obviously we're going to see what happens next year if I do manage to get some fruits off the other varieties that haven't fruited. I had one Kumoy. This is my Lee that's now at the point where it's going to start to go dormant, and these were the little embryo fruits that obviously never came to anything, they just dried out, so nothing edible on that. And the Lang next to it didn't even set a single fruit. My avocado, which was the one that came from Mike Gee. This is a seedling bacon, still putting some new growth out on it in October, but it's looking very healthy, recovered completely from its the shock of being dug up out the ground and put in a pot, so I'm pleased with how that's doing, and I'll obviously have to decide what to do with it over winter. My Grumicharma that I've got outside is now finished. It's very sparse looking, unfortunately, so I might see if I can manage to somehow or other root cuttings on this and cut it back a bit, and then maybe, I think it's due for a repot, maybe if it survives the winter it will branch out better next year, we'll get more fruits on it. My very late to go to sleep will be the Szechuan pepper plant here, growing at the back, which is very vigorous. Not sure where that's going to go space wise. This is my Prima Pawpaw, only produced about 3 or 4 fruits this year. It had more on it, but they got either pecked off by birds or knocked off. Probably didn't set properly. This one here, as you can see, is looking very much suffering from nutrition deficiency, well, whatever it is, a nutrient deficiency even. This is my Pennsylvania Golden, so that's going to have to be repotted and get it into a more suitable soil. Unfortunately, my Costata persimmon, that one looks like it might ripen, and that one, even up to 2 weeks ago, this had about 8 fruits on it. but they've continued to drop off, and I think there are now 2 left, just that one there and this one here, and that has got a bit of colour to it, so whether or not they're going to ripen and become edible remains to be seen. Unfortunately, others have dropped off on the floor, and in fact there's 2 more green ones down there which have fallen off in the last week or so, so they're no use. The figs that are in pots, of course, are all going dormant now. None of these figs are of any use at all. There's another persimmon here on another variety which has held on to it. I think that might be Hygeia, not 100% sure, and that plant's got 2 on. But most of the other persimmons have dropped. Look at the fabulous colours, autumn colours of some of these persimmon varieties. I can't remember what that one is now, that short one, but that does have wonderful colour. There's a few Chocolatino fruits on it, on the Chocolatino, which is small. That's not the Chocolatino that's going red. Very small fruits. Oh, I just remembered, having got this far, that I didn't show you the Gemini pineapple guava. That's doing nicely as well. Look, I've got plenty of fruits on it that are developing to decent edible size, including the ones that I bagged in an attempt to protect them. Yeah, so that's doing fine, the Gemini. Going back to where I left off, there's a couple of small persimmons there that are ripening. I think that's one of the hybrids, but I can't remember which one it is. That might be Russian Beauty, which I believe is the same as Rossianka. No fruits on the Mount Govala this year, so that's been a bit of a flop. This is another pineapple guava. I think this one's probably Coolidge. Got a couple of very small fruits on it attempting to develop, but I don't know if they're going to get to an edible size. My loquat or loquat flowers are making progress. There's developing quite nicely is a little inflorescence there. One is Oliver and the other one is Mrs. Cookson, but you can see it has got some flower, 3 or 4 inflorescences on it, which I'm very pleased about, and the other one has a single very small inflorescence developing. I think this one's the Mrs. Cookson and the other one's the Oliver. So there is a possibility of cross-pollination if these carry on developing. I've got a couple of tiny fruits on my Marion, but they're not going to come to anything. This plant is, despite being in that huge pot, this plant is hugely pot bound. There's my Chilean guava flambeau hidden away there. Hasn't had any fruits on it this year, but at least it's survived another year, so I'm going to have to repot that as well in the spring. It's very challenging, really. I will show you the sad sight behind here. Well, it's not sad really, but look at all the mouldy chocolate vine fruits falling and dropping on the floor. It's just impossible to harvest them, eat them. I mean, it had hundreds and hundreds of fruit, so I just left them, to be honest, to rot, and they'll rot down on the floor and hopefully feed the plant, so it's self regenerating. They won't cause any problems. This is Nikita's gift behind here, but again, most of the fruits are extremely small, but it looks like a couple might get to an edible size. Most other things are going dormant. That's my mulberry there, my little kiwi vine here, kiwi berry. This is my Isai, but it's now growing nicely to the top of the fence. I'm fairly optimistic we'll get fruits on that next year. I've got a couple of my kumquats here. This is the one that I had to bare root that suffered some serious issues, and that's now come back really nicely. Don't think any of them set any fruits on them, although it had a handful of flowers, and that's the other kumquat as well. These will all be going away fairly soon. My Che fruit plant has grown crazy this year. That's the Chinese mulberry. Has various other common names. My bare rooted persimmon that I got from Gardening Express, that's one of them. That's done incredibly well, and that's the second one there. That's done incredibly well. This is the persimmon that died, the bare root one. That's one of the two that I got from Thomas, and that one unfortunately didn't make it. That's definitely dead. But the other one I got from Thomas is fine. So just the problem with bare root trees, they can be a little bit unreliable at times. But I need to pull the grass out of this, but it's definitely it's got green on a tiny bit of green on the rootstock, but unfortunately the grafted bit is totally dead. Can't remember what it was. What was it? It's a Hanafuyu, but I've got another Hanafuyu, or allegedly a Hanafuyu. I tried to graft onto one of my rootstocks again this year, and again that's failed. Both of my grafts failed. But other than that, everything's been doing quite well. The mulberries, that's going dormant. That's my pink Moldovan. This one is the Illinois Everbearing. Got another young pineapple guava there, but you can see how unhealthy that looks, so that's root bound as well. But as I say, I'm very pleased with how the Gardening Express ones did. They did fabulously well. And I think that's about it really. Interestingly, my in-ground fig, it's going to have to be cut back again hard this winter because it very quickly gets out of control. And having thought I wasn't going to get any main crop figs, it has been producing some very late main crop figs for me. This one here looks like it's not going to abort. That one I think might make it as a main crop fig. This one is not going to make it. That's dried out on one side, but I've got a few more on the tree that are swelling quite nicely, so I think there's a chance I'm going to get another 2, 3, maybe as much as half a dozen edible main crop figs on it. There's some higher up that are swelling quite nicely as well. What we could do is a couple of weeks mild weather, but we'll see what happens. And finally, my Japanese raisin trees going dormant now. That's Havinia dulcis. So that's a brief look around. I've kept this one a bit shorter because obviously there's less to see, and I don't want to be dragging on for 25 minutes. I think 17 minutes is absolutely plenty. But the garden starts to look a bit sad as I love the autumn colours, but once the leaves are gone, it's going to be a load of bare sticks. Anyway, thanks for watching the video. Much appreciate it. Please give me a thumbs up as usual. Share the video if you think anyone will be interested, and remember to subscribe to my channel, and if you do want to know when new videos come out, got to remember to click that bell. See you all soon. Brett out for now.